welcome to MeowMix, the Carolina Panthers podcast. My name is Steven,
My name is Jerry.
and we are here to talk about the latest Matt Rule Carolina Panthers debacle. Panthers
I
lose
mean,
to the San Francisco 49ers 37-15. Luckily, Jerry, we kicked a late field goal to make it 15.
yeah, yeah, good job.
You know, Jerry and I were kind of chatting right before we started recording, and there's not much to say about this game. Like, this is, I think, what we all expected.
Yeah, I mean,
I
we
don't
had
know
a really
anyone.
good team come in here, and they wiped the floor with the Panthers.
Yeah.
The defense held up for most of the first half, and then in the
Mhm.
second half, like normal, they started falling apart because A, scheme, B, tiredness, or whichever
Mhm.
you wanted to go. There was bad tackling. I will say that the defense does need to work on their tackling again because that is a reoccurring issue.
Mhm.
Offense, I mean, is this sad? But I think this is the best the offense looked in this year.
I was gonna say, like, I mean, Baker, yes, he had the pick six. He was completely off on several throws, but I think this was his best game. Like, weirdly enough, like I know he's had
Yeah,
games where
yeah.
he scored touchdowns, but I thought he was in more control of the offense in this game. Now, he wasn't good.
No, no,
He
no,
wasn't
no,
good. No, we're not saying he's good, but I thought this was as good as he's looked, which I think is saying something.
I agree. I did want to ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if Matt Rule continues to be the head coach and continues to next year, do we need to change the name of the podcast to the litter box? Because all they're putting out there is pure poop. Trying to keep that restrictions clean with
Pure
poop.
poop. Um, I mean, we might have to. Yeah, we might have to. Find some sort of tidy cats or some kind of some kind of since we're using a brand name for our podcast anyway. Yeah, I mean, well, we've got a troll on Twitter called the Dirty Litter who likes
Yeah.
to troll us, so he's already got that locked down. But yeah, I mean, you know, I think this was a poorly coached game, a poorly played game for the most part. CJ Henderson, like what? Whose team is this guy on? Like he is just bad. I get trading for him. I liked it at the time. We both
Yeah.
did. I think a lot of Panthers fans did. Um,
But
the
he's just
experiment
not
has
it.
failed. Yeah, the experiment has failed. I would say try to trade him and get a fifth or sixth round pick from another team that thinks they can salvage him while you
it
can.
my question is too with this is at this point, I feel like you and I have seen that he seems to cause us more pain than actually
Mm-hmm.
giving us like pivotal pass interference, pivotal
Yeah.
lack of attempt at a tackle on the third down when the game still Panthers still had a chance. I mean, it was starting to get out of hand, but you still had a two
Well, you
possession
make
game
that
at that point.
stop and there's a chance, right? Like you said.
And he just didn't even put effort. Why aren't we seeing Keith Taylor at this point uh, out
Keith
there
Taylor,
more? I
Stanley
mean,
Thomas Oliver. There's some guys on the practice squad that could probably come up and give just as good of an effort. Yeah, he made two really bad plays, at least two really bad plays in this game alone. We've
mm-hmm.
seen the interference in the end zone that he's done multiple times this season. He's just not good. He's just not a good football player.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. He has the physical attributes, but he just can't put it together.
Yeah.
I look at the complete opposite, where J.C. Horn was taken a year later, very similar physical attributes.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like a dominant player again today, which another reason they need to have him covering the number one guy no matter where they go, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
I think
And he
he's
was on
earned.
Debo a lot in this game.
And Debo was quiet a lot
Yeah.
when he was on him. Debo or J.C. Horn, outstanding play.
Mm-hmm.
Again, reoccurring thing. I can't wait to see the stats because he probably gave up like 2 catches for like 12 yards on 3 targets.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the PFF scores on a lot of these guys. Justin Burris, I want to see how bad he was because I saw him on the receiving end of a lot of plays made against him.
Miles Hartsfield,
CJ
he's another
Hartsfield.
one that I felt bad because they were kind of picking on Burris and Hartsfield, and I was like, these are. I mean, I know Burris started for us in the past, but Hartsfield,
Mhm.
I mean, it's like this is a guy who's a spot duty guy, and he just can't
He's
hang with.
out of his depth, yeah, and playing out of position some as well. And I mean, the Panthers were down a lot of players in this game, especially on defense, key players on defense in this game before they even started. Horn went out, in the second half. Um,
He did come back, but I don't know if he came
I
back
think he went out
again.
again.
Yeah, okay.
He was walking to the locker room. I don't know that he came back from that one. And the game
Oh,
was kind of out of hand at that point
yeah.
anyway, so really no
Xavier
reason for
Woods, Frankie Louvu,
Frankie.
Jeremy
Yeah,
Chin, all those out.
yeah.
So I mean,
Those are
three of our
big
big,
players,
yeah.
good players. Yeah, all of them. And then there was a couple of tackles that were missed that we were texting back and forth. And Luvu would have made that tackle, and I do truly think that I don't know that the outcome would be different if those guys were
Well,
playing, but I think the
it
score.
was
I think it would have been a closer game.
37-15.
I think
Let's
it would have been a
be.
closer game. I'm not saying Frankie Luvu was worth 3 touchdowns, but I think it would have been a closer game. There's a couple of like third and fourth downs. I think that the Panthers would have been able to stop them.
Yeah, I mean, again, good game by quite a few Panthers players. Again, Derek Brown, Brian Burns,
Mm-hmm.
Etor had a couple good plays. Damian Wilson, another big play. There's some missed
Mm-hmm.
tackles and stuff, but most of the good players played well. Like on defense, surprisingly, you know, Chris, DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey. I can't say that I felt like they did bad. The offensive line struggled a little bit, but I think they didn't play bad. It
Look,
was,
I mean, this is what we've been saying all season long. This team has talent.
yeah.
The schemes are bad.
It's not getting players open. It's
Yeah.
not. It's having the quarterback second guess himself, pulling it down, and then throwing it wildly afterwards. It's you know, yes, Baker Mayfield's part of the problem. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's not just on the scheme on big. The quarterback's still part of the problem. I think the O line still needs work to do, but I do
Yeah.
see them trending upwards. Today was a big deal with Nick Bosa, with the other pass rusher that 49ers have. I mean, they're a legit defense here, number
Mm-hmm.
one defense, and I felt this is the best offensive game we've had.
And we
E-
scored
even
15
if
points.
even if the points don't show up on the board, I felt like they had a better plan. They did show some momentum.
They were 3 for 15 on third down. So
Eh,
that
th-
problem once again rears its ugly head.
all through the Matt Rule era. I don't
Mm-hmm.
understand it. Two different coordinators, 4 or 5 different quarterbacks. I mean, at this point,
Yeah. They went for it on fourth down 5 times. They got 3 of them.
and I'm fine with that, especially going up
Sure.
against a team like this.
Yeah.
Now,
I have
I
no
didn't
problem with that. I'm
understand
glad
going
that
for the
Matt
two
Rule did
points,
it.
but
We'll talk about that. That one didn't make any sense to me. Even with the extra 1 yard that you got from the penalty, it didn't make any sense. From like it was 17-9. You kick the extra point, you're down a touchdown. You go for the extra, you go for the 2 points, you're still down a touchdown, right? I mean, you could kick an extra point and go up at one, but at that point, just do the easy thing and get off the field and keep the momentum going. But yeah, I mean, it didn't matter really in the grand scheme of things. Like we still lost by 22 points. So, all right, well let's take a look at some of our key plays to this game. I'll kick us off here. So, just in the first quarter, the 49ers went straight right down and scored.
yeah,
One of the big plays to set it up. 12:32 left in the first quarter. 2nd and 9 at the 50. Jeff Wilson runs right up the middle, 41 yards, pushed out of bounds inside the Panthers 10.
yeah.
And they score a couple plays later. And it just, from at that moment, I was like, oh, they're going to run all over us. This is not going to be a good game for the Panthers run defense.
And the sad thing is, I felt like the run defense, for the most part, did pretty well. They did give up this play, and a couple other ones that were like 20 yards. But other than that, they kept seeming to get bottling them up. It was like those 2, 3 plays that gave them a majority of their yardage. But
Well, it's
uh,
you think I think it's misleading because San Francisco ran 5.3 yards per carry on 29 carries. So the run defense was bad, bar none. It was bad. But the Panthers had 6 tackles for loss. So they made plays in the run game, but they gave up way more than I mean, that's six tackles for loss. That's 12, 13, 14, 15 yards, or 6 tackles for loss, excuse me. So,
yeah.
but 153 rushing yards on 29 attempts, 2 rushing touchdowns. I mean, it was not a good run defense game for the Panthers.
No, it was not a good run defense. I mean, and we've been playing pretty well, but yeah, overall, I mean, they ran for 153 yards. You take away that one play, and they still have over 100 yards.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you 28 for one. I still don't think it was as bad as it looks, but yeah, it's not good, especially when your offense can't stay on the field. So
Look, Jeff Wilson is good. I mean, he 17
the
carries for 120.
49ers,
Like, I know they
49ers
have
are
a very good run defense, but Jeff Wilson himself was good. He was making people miss. He's cutting really well. He looked better, I think, than Christian McCaffrey running the ball in this game. And that may be the scheme. I'm sure it has a lot to do with scheme. It has a lot to do with blocking. Has a lot to do with a lot of different things. But Jeff Wilson Jr. looked really good out there, and better than I expected. And maybe just because his name is Jeff Wilson, and that's it's
see, I
not a
haven't.
memorable name, but he looked really good.
I have him on my bench on my fantasy team, so
Mm,
that doesn't surprise me, to
good.
be
That was
honest
a
with
good
you.
call from you today.
I was get I've witnessed him before
Yeah.
playing, so I think this is par for the course. It's the 49ers offense, man.
Mm,
Kyle Shanahan draws up great run plays. They're always a running team, no matter
mm,
who's in the backfield.
yeah.
Elijah Mitchell, it just
Tevin Coleman in this game
Tevin
had a
Coleman. I mean,
decent game, catching the ball especially.
they are the Broncos of the 90s or early 2000s, where no matter who's back there, Landon Gary and
Hmm.
other guys that you barely hear of, just break out for 1,000 yards because they're behind a very great coaching scheme. But again, San Francisco. That's play
Yeah.
key one was that 41 yarder. Moving on, looking in the second quarter, 43 seconds. Game 10-3. Panthers have the ball. Baker Mayfield pumps pass short, intended for Christian McCaffrey, intercepted by Mosley, returned 41 yards for the touchdown, putting it at 17-3. This is kind of where the avalanche, in my opinion, started because the defense was holding strong, gave up only 10 points, even though that whole onslaught of them. The offense still wasn't mustering up much. And then that. And then it just like, oh, now we're down
And,
by 2 touchdowns.
yeah, and the worst part is the half was almost over. Like
Yeah.
43 seconds left in the half, and that's when that happened. You're still in the game. It's only 10-3 at that point. You know, and I didn't think that. Yeah, I mean, Baker, he forced that ball. He hesitated. It was a weird pass. It was high. Um, yeah, it just, I don't know, just bad
He
play all over the place. Like,
like
just not
McCaffrey
good.
was standing by himself with no one
Yeah,
around for like 10 yards. He
yeah,
pump faked it and had people go rushing towards him. And then he just lobs it high, way over his head. Like
yeah,
Christian McCaffrey's not a tall dude. He's not,
yeah.
Calvin
He's
Johnson out
shorter
there.
than Baker. I mean, yeah, he's probably not going to catch that ball. It looked like he had an opportunity to catch it, but the timing was way off because of Baker's pump fake. And again, he's wide open right there. You're expecting that ball in your chest.
Yeah.
Um, I guess Baker probably was pump faking because he thought it was going to get batted down. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, it was a
Yeah.
bad play altogether. But so yeah, we're down 17-3 at that point. Now coming back, our first drive of the third quarter. Christian McCaffrey right in 19 yards with a touchdown on a 4th and 1. Uh,
Come- Nice scamper. Like,
really
made some
nice
moves.
play. Broke a tackle, made a couple guys miss, and got in there. So 17-9. Then they go for that 2-point conversion we mentioned earlier. They miss it, still 17-9. And then I think that's where the wheels come off.
Yeah.
Not because they missed the 2-point conversion, but just from then on, it was pretty much all 49ers.
And I love the fact that we actually ran to the outside. It was a toss play to the outside.
Mm-hmm.
I,
Yeah.
I don't I
Which we
don't
don't
think
see a lot. Yeah.
I was gonna say I think that was the first one I've seen this game. And
Yeah.
we've
Oh,
only
certainly this
ran like
game.
a handful, and it was like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, that was a nice play call, especially when they're expecting us to go up the middle, but can we see that like on first down occasionally or a
Mm-hmm.
2nd and 6, you know?
Yeah.
Again, I'm second guessing their play calling,
Well,
but
I will say that I thought the play calling was more
better.
interesting in this game. Like they did different things than they've
Hmm.
done. They're different formations. They were trying to do some different stuff, which I appreciated.
Again, this is I felt like the best offense that
Yeah.
this team looked like. And yes, they put 15, but this is also the number one defense in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Second against pass, second against run. And this is we're talking about an offense that was may have not been officially last, but in my eyes last. And
Yeah.
but it showed some talent. Again, there's talent on this roster
Yeah.
on both sides. But
Agreed.
all right, going to our last key play of the game, 24-10 in the fourth quarter, 14:52 left. 3rd and 10 at Carolina, 35. Jimmy Garoppolo pass short left to Jennings, pushed out of bounds at Carolina's 22 for 13 yards, brings it to first down. I felt like if you stopped them here, you could get it 27-10 or even have another block field goal and you still feeling good. But
Is
this is
that the
CJ.
one
This
where
is
CJ
CJ
Henderson? Okay.
Henderson's arm attempted to tackle, and that was it. It was a big whiff.
He just slid
Done.
down him like he was falling, going down a fire pole. I mean,
Like
it was ugly.
it, it was like he had no intention of really trying to tackle
Yeah.
Jennings. And hats off to Jennings. He made the play. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
going to really knock Jennings for that, but it felt like the effort from Henderson wasn't there.
Yeah, agreed. And again, like you said, I mean, it's 3rd and 10 at the 35, and that's a 52-yard field goal
And
if
if
you
you
don't get any
tackle,
yards.
and he got like 2-3 before the contact was
Yeah,
there.
so it's
So
still, a 45 to 50-yard field goal, which is not a gimme. They could
no,
easily miss. I mean, we already blocked one in the game,
exactly.
you
And we were
know.
close to blocking an extra point too, or we
Yeah.
did tip one that made it through. So
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
wasn't gold. That was the punter, the Australian rules
uh,
punter that would kick that one. But and I think Gold would have still been healthy to kick this field goal. I think he got hurt on the kickoff after this touchdown, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I mean, even
you never
still,
know.
27-10.
You feel
That's
good. You're like, okay, offense, let's pull it together. But once they score a touchdown
yeah,
on that third and long, you're just.
yeah,
I felt like that was the ending.
agreed. And again, like we said, this game, I feel like if you don't give up that pick six at the very end of the second quarter,
Oh, absolutely.
you come out, you score that touchdown in the beginning of the third quarter, it's probably a tie game. Maybe they still go for two if it's 10-9. I don't know. I hope not. I think you're smart. You just tie it up. But maybe they still go for the two. I don't know. But even still, you're 10-9 at worst at that point, and it's a different game. They're calling different plays. Your defense is different. Like it's a very different game. So again, I don't know that they win, but it's just a different game. So
It really is. Any last thoughts before we move on?
uh no, I don't guess so. We'll talk some stats and some other stuff here in a minute.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break and be right back.
Guys, I know if you're like me, you need to relax a little after you're watching a Carolina Panthers game.
Or really relax, like I
Yeah,
will
really
be
relax.
after
Yeah.
this podcast.
Yeah. there's different ways to do that. Personally, I like to chew a little bit of CBD. Give me a little gummy, little Delta 9, Delta 8 action. Um, Calms me right down, makes me feel good. And you can get that cbdx.com. Use promo code Meow. You'll get 20% off. They're actually having a sale right now. You think you buy two
Yeah,
gummies, you get one free.
buy two get one free.
Yeah,
I don't know if you could still get that with our promo code Meow, but if
you
you don't
cannot,
use
but
promo
still,
code Meow, you can use it next time.
sure, sure.
Because honestly, it's great stuff. I recommend it. I use it. Look, here in North Carolina, we have some restrictive laws. This is legal here, and it's
This is
close.
legal, yes.
It's legal and it's close that you wouldn't really know the difference. I'll put it that way. It's a nice way to end the night. I like sleep. I like to sleep better, and
Hmm.
that this really does help me sleep better at night.
Yeah, if you're like Jerry and you like to sleep better, try this out.
Yeah,
It works.
and do
I will
not
agree.
operate heavy machinery or vehicle while you're on it.
No, no.
Obviously,
Use
be
your
safe.
common sense. Yes. cbdx.com promo code Meow. All right, Jerry. Let's look at some
Now,
stats here.
yeah,
But
I was gonna say, yeah, stats. I love stats.
yeah, stats. All right. All right. So Baker Mayfield, 20 of 36, 215 yards, one interception. He was sacked 4 times for 16 yards. That's only at an average of 6 yards per pass, which isn't very good. But again, I think he's what 10 of 18. So he's got a decent. It's not quite 60%, I don't think, but it's pretty close. If it's not 60%, which is better than he's been all season long. PJ
Yeah,
came in, went 5 for 6, 60 yards. Don't freak out about PJ coming in and garbage time and
yeah.
completing some passes. Now, is PJ close to as good as Baker has been these first 5 games? Probably, because Baker's been terrible. But PJ is not a good quarterback. Let's not be calling for
Let's.
PJ, okay? Like, you guys that are making fun of people for calling for Sam, you're the ones that are going to be calling for PJ. And you're going to look just as silly, if not more silly. So let's not call for PJ. Baker's not good, but he's better than PJ.
I I would like to see this Baker Mayfield against a different defense. I mean, unfortunately, we had one of the worst defenses here last week, but he laid an egg. But this guy looked different. He looked like he was more in command. He was sacked 4 times, and I think 2 of those I blame on him more than the
Yeah.
offensive line, where he
He's
had
held the
plenty
ball
of.
too long.
Yeah, he held the ball too long. He pump faked it, and then when he got pressure, instead of throwing the ball away, scrambling out, he kind of like still did it. He looked like I was getting it. If I was getting attacked by these linemen, I'd have freaked out too. Nick Bosa's after me. I'd been. Ah!
Yeah,
I'd
I
have
don't
probably
know if
fumbled though.
Baker has some athletic ability. He occasionally will run the ball. If you look at his stats, he gets like a couple hundred rushing yards per year. Uh, Baker is Baker should not be back there scrambling around in the pocket. That's not who he is.
No.
You could tell like there was a couple times that he tried to start running and they just immediately took him down. So Baker, stand in the pocket, count your 3 seconds, whatever. If it's not there, either check down or throw it away. I mean, there's no point in taking these sacks. There's no point in moving into sacks, which he did at least once in this game.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, again, I think Baker looked better overall in this game. Still made the dumb mistakes. Still made a bone-crushing, killer turnover. But he looked better, whatever that means.
I agree, and
Yeah.
I want to point that out because we are really harsh on the offensive line the first week. I feel like they have been growing and growing.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this is a great pass rushing defense that they face. I felt they hung up well. The PJ sacks, yeah, at that point, I mean, ears pinned. They were just coming after. So, and Baker Mayfield, like I said, 2 of those I felt like were more on him than the O-line.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the O-line's been pretty good, actually. They're getting better every week. So, Rushing, 14 carries for McCaffrey, 54 yards, 1 touchdown. You could tell the defense, they came in ready to take him away.
And rightfully so.
Yeah.
Best weapon.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, 17 overall carries in this game for the Panthers for 64 yards, 3.8 yards per. Not really that good.
No, I felt like, again, they should have run the ball a little bit more with Foreman, maybe Chuba if they wanted to do that. I understand not wanting to get Christian McCaffrey non-stop touches, but the game, again, was pretty close up until, third quarter? When that... Mm-hmm. So, again, once that third quarter comes in, we fall apart. But 42 passes, 17 runs. I mean...
Yeah, and it ended up being 37-15. You are down 17-3 at halftime. The offense hasn't really been, obviously not scoring, not even getting into scoring range. So that I'm not as freaked out about the disparity in this game than I was last game, where it was a close game into the fourth quarter. This one wasn't quite that way. Receiving wise, Shi Smith led the team. 4 receptions, 69 yards on 5 targets. DJ Moore had 8 targets, 4 catches, 59 yards. McCaffrey 7 for 50 on 12 targets. Terrace Marshall 4 catches, 30 yards. Now I think 3 of them were from PJ at the very end there.
No, I think
at least
only
2 of them were.
I was gonna say then it was only 2. I thought only 1 was, but
no, I saw 2 for sure.
But hey, he made an appearance.
Hey, and welcome to the team, man. I'm excited. He caught all of his targets,
and he got some separation. I know on that slant that he caught from Baker, he got some separation. He got the first down. That's what you. Okay, good. That's what you need to do. Nothing.
Yeah, I want to see more of him. I mean, man, give us another weapon. I'd rather see Terrace Marshall out there than Robbie Anderson, who had 1 catch for 32 yards on 5 targets and could not get away from anybody.
And
the one catch he had, he created some separation, but that's it. Like everything else, the defender was right there in his pocket.
I would love to move Robbie Anderson before the trade deadline.
Yeah, but Matt Rule won't do it. He's like his only defender on the team.
Like it just feels like
I guarantee you, if Matt Rule gets fired before the trade deadline, Robbie Anderson will be moved.
Because teams want him, and I'm fine with that. I don't see the benefit of keeping him around next year, in my eyes. I would prefer to see more Terrace Marshall, more Shi Smith, more Laviska Shenault than I would see Robbie Anderson. Because I think I know what Robbie Anderson is. He's a number 3, maybe a number 2 some teams, but he doesn't get enough separation. He doesn't make the easy catches all the time. He drops a lot of passes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I would prefer to see Marshall and Shenault and Smith more, because at least I feel like they still have more room to grow. While Robbie is what he is at this point.
And he's not helping the team. He's just not doing what he needs to do. Giovanni Ricci 3 for 27. Nice to see him getting some love out there. And then Ian Thomas 2 for 8. Tommy Trimble, no catches, but 1 target. Yeah. Let's see. Defense-wise, Damian Wilson led the team in tackles with 9. Also had a sack. Brian Burns got another sack earlier in the game. You had Justin Burris, Corey Littleton. The three guys that Corey Littleton's out there a lot, but 9, 8, and 7 in terms of tackles for those guys. I thought Derek Brown looked good again. Had a nice tip pass. A couple tip passes, I think.
2.
5 tackles for him. Yeah. He had a tackle for loss as well. He has exploded. This is the guy that you were hoping you would draft.
Absolutely.
Number 7 overall. He looks the part now. I'm so happy that he has arrived.
Me too. I agree. I know a lot of people are going to be still knocking him because we gave up 140, so many rushing yards. But he's playing well, man. I don't know what you want from him. He can't stop every running back. Right.
Matt
Ioannidis is playing well. Again, it's sometimes they get clogged up and the offensive line wins, and you need your linebackers to stop the run.
And by the way, like, this is the worst rushing performance we've
Since
had,
week,
or rushing defense performance we had since week 1.
yeah.
The last 3 weeks have been very good in terms of rush defense. Very good. You just
And
run into a
again,
team here that's really good at rushing the
and
football.
they had to almost run 30 times to get 150, and 40 of those were on one play. So I don't think it was as bad running defense as it has been in the past. I felt against Cleveland it was a different story, but I felt like they did a good job against the run for the most part this week.
I think you're on an island with that. But I understand your feelings there. Blackshear, really nice return game for him. 7 returns for 200 yards. I don't remember the last time we've seen that from a Panthers.
And we actually capitalized on one that we returned to the 50. I mean, hats off to Blackshear. We were kind of liking the signing when we signed him, and now I still want to see maybe he could spell Christian a little bit. Maybe Chuba.
Would rather see him than Chuba.
I mean,
this is step 1. This was Chuba's job to start the season. Once Roberts got hurt, this was Chuba's job. He obviously couldn't handle it. So you get Blackshear in here. He looks great at it. And he knocked out Robbie Gould, at least from this game. We'll see. Hey, he put 2 hits on Robbie Gould. The first time he did it, Robbie Gould didn't get hurt. But I was like, oh, I like that. He's trying to you get a chance, you knock down that kicker. I thought the second time he probably could have gotten around Robbie Gould and maybe gotten more yards and potentially taken it to the house. But he just wanted to hit. He just wanted to hit Robbie Gould, and he smacked him, took him right out of the game. Pinheiro had his first miss in this game, but he ended up going 3 for 4, no extra points because he didn't attempt any.
It happens. A kicker's gonna miss occasionally. He still did a good job.
Still did a good job.
Not calling for a replacement or anything stupid like that.
Yeah, Hecker only 3 punts. That's because the Panthers went for it 5 times on 4th down. But he had a 67-yarder. I think that was his first punt. Absolutely bombed it. So he still is just a really, really good player for us. All right. Any other thoughts on the Panthers side before we move over to San Francisco?
No, there's nothing else I really want to look at on our defense or anything. I felt like there's quite a few good players out here that made some impact. Even like I said, Damian Wilson, I felt like, Brian Burns, Derek Brown. No, so let's go ahead and look over at the 49ers. Jimmy Garoppolo, 18 of 30, 253 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, overall, they kept him in check. I mean,
well, this was just a classic Jimmy G game. This is what he does. He doesn't turn the ball over. He makes, short throws most of the time, 8.4 yards per pass. He doesn't take a lot of sacks, only sacked twice. He just doesn't make mistakes. He's not spectacular. He's not going to throw for 500 yards, but he's going to give you 250, 2 touchdowns, and a win.
And the Panthers had their hands on like 2 or 3 passes that could have been interceptions. J.C. Horn, was it Burris who almost had that one in the first half?
Yeah, I mean, the Panthers had their opportunities, but Jimmy G is, he's pretty good, and he's, he's like I think he's right average. He's like the right in the middle guy. He's not going to get you too high. He's not going to get you too low. He's going to do enough for you to win if everything else on your team works, and everything else on their team worked today. So,
yeah. Rushing, we've mentioned it before. Jeff Wilson, 17 for 120 and a touchdown. One big one, 41. Tevin Coleman, 8 rushes, 23 yards, and a touchdown. He had that fantastic catch, too, which we'll go over. Deebo Samuel, 2 for 12, kept him in check on the ground. Not going to talk those other quarterback rushings. Don't count, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Brandon Ayuk led all San Fran receivers with 3 for 58. Again, you kept Deebo in check, and I think J.C. Horn was on him most of the time.
Yeah.
They went to Kittle early. He did have 5 receptions, 47 yards, but after that early catches, he kind of disappeared, which hats off to them. It could have been the fumble. Could have been.
I'm wondering if it was a scheme change that we made, or if they just went away from him after the fumble.
Which I think would be dumb because it's not
I
like he
agree.
has a fumble problem.
Yeah. And
So
I
I'm
think he
gonna
had at least one catch after the fumble, but yeah, he was eating us up, and you could tell they came in targeting the middle of the field
rightfully so.
with our injuries. Like they were targeting the middle of the field, they were moving the ball well. Yeah, I thought this was going to be like a 120-yard receiving game for Kittle after the
At the beginning.
after the first drive or so.
Yeah, I did too because I'm facing him in fantasy, so I thought he was going to kill me on both. So,
Yeah.
but luckily he did not.
He hasn't been very good this year.
Mm-mm. But Juan Jennings, 2 for 45, that big third down conversion. Tevin Coleman, 3 for 44. Again, that 30-yarder that he just leapt up. I think it was over Hartsfield or Burris.
I think it was Burris.
But man, I don't even think I can blame Burris on that. That was just a great play by Colden.
Yeah,
I mean,
good catch. If Chin is out there, maybe that's different. But
maybe you rock him a little bit harder. But
Yeah.
I mean, for the most part, I mean that was just a spectacular catch.
Yeah.
Kyle Juszczyk, 2 for 27. He does what he does.
Mhm.
Debo, 2 for 20. Again, hats off
Only-
to the secondary, J.C. Horn, whoever was covering. We really did knock him down. He had 9 targets.
Yeah, 9 targets. Did end up with a touchdown, so he saved my fantasy day a little bit. But yeah, I mean, two catches on 9 targets. That's good defense.
Yeah.
That's good defense against him.
We shut down their playmakers of George Kittle and Debo Samuel. And that's unfortunately we still didn't get the win, but
Nope. Still gave up 37 points. Although 6 of those were from a pick six, but still.
I mean, if you tell me George Kittle and Debo Samuel only get 7 receptions for like 70 yards, I'll take it every day. I mean,
Kittle did have that fumble. We talked about that.
yeah. Jeff Wilson recovered a Jimmy Garoppolo fumble, but not much else other than that. Now on defense, Dre Greenlaw, 11 total tackles, 4 solo. Fred Warner, man, that dude was everywhere. I felt like, really he kind of reminded me of like Luke Kuechly when he could just diagnose and you just heard his name over and over again, breaking up plays and stuff. 9 tackles, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss, another pass deflection, and 2 QB hits.
Yeah, he filled out the stat sheet.
Yeah,
he was. Yeah, he was legitimately all over the place.
Lenore, I'm not going to try to say his first name. 8 tackles, 4 solo.
Yeah.
Their safety, Talanoa Hafunga, 5 tackles, 2 solo, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, and another QB hit. Good players, man.
Yeah,
man, are they trying to really kill me on these names? Demetrius Flanagan fouls, 4 tackles, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss.
We don't have to go down the whole list, but I mean, Warner, Hafunga, Foles, Gibson, Burks, Amenhu, Jackson, all got sacks. So 6 sacks for San Francisco. They're credited with 9 QB hits as well.
And again, I credit 2 of those to Baker Mayfield. Hold the ball. He still holds the ball way too long. He needs to learn it. He needs to make sure he gets it out.
Yeah.
I'll be curious on the PFF grades on the O-line. I'll see how they graded them out because there's only so much time that O-line are expected to hold.
Yeah. I would imagine they're going to grade out pretty poorly in this game, honestly. I didn't think they looked too bad, but 6 sacks. I mean, that's...
Yeah, and 9 hits, but...
Yeah. Robbie Gould, 2 tackles. Just wanted to call that out.
On Blackshear.
Yeah. Blackshear got the best of both of those tackles.
Hey, it's a shining light for us on this team here.
I mean, honestly, there were some good things that the Panthers did in this game. Like, you hear a different tone in our voice from the Arizona game, which we thought the Panthers had a really good chance to win and move to 2-2. to this game where we didn't really expect the Panthers to win. They kind of played maybe even a little better than we expected them to play, but we're sitting at 1-4, so it's just sort of one of those things where expectations met reality, and
Yeah.
I'm not wanting to drink myself into a stupor after this game like I was last game. Just sort of like, well, this is what I expected. Now we're 1-4. What are you
We
doing,
hung
David
in there
Tepper?
because I kind of felt like we'd hang in there by a touchdown or so up until that, third or fourth quarter, and sure enough, that's exactly what happened. And I felt like the offense made strides, as weird as that sounds.
Well, we had 15 first downs.
We still didn't get over 300 yards, but...
We did get over 300 yards. We got 308 total yards.
Oh.
Because of PJ and mop-up time. We had 11 drives, which is the same as San Francisco. We actually ran more plays. We had 65 plays, which is 12 more than our average, Jerry.
Yeah.
So this is why we're saying that we thought the offense looked better, because, time of possession was dead even pretty much.
Yeah.
We had 29 minutes, 42 seconds. They had 30 minutes, 18 seconds. So it's right down the middle. Only 5 penalties for the Panthers, but 3 for 15 on third down. That's the big one.
That's the ongoing problem with Matt Rule's Panthers offense. I mean, they can't stay on the field. And it's gone through multiple coaches and multiple quarterbacks.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
At this point, I don't know who to blame besides the highest up on the court. I don't know if you need to really break it down and be like, hey, we need to really focus in on getting on third and short and coming up with great plays for getting 5 yards.
Look, you could say that Matt Rule's never had a franchise. He's never had a franchise quarterback here. That would be true.
Yeah.
Right? That would be 100% true. But Matt Rule has lost with Teddy Bridgewater. He's lost with Cam Newton. He's lost with Sam Darnold. He's lost with Baker Mayfield. He's lost with everyone he's tried.
All of those were first-round quarterbacks too.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's only won with PJ Walker.
Like it's to the point where you're like, okay, where's the common denominator? It's the same one.
Yeah, and that's what we're saying is Matt Rule out there trying to make tackles? Is Matt Rule kicking field goals? Is Matt Rule throwing the ball? No. But everything rolls up to Matt Rule. Matt Rule is responsible for all of it.
And it's a lot of reoccurring issues. It's not one.
Yeah, it's not just the players. Like, we've talked about schemes. We've talked about clock management. We've talked about halftime adjustments. All of those things. It's everything. It's cumulative. Look at the stands today out there.
It was spotty red, and that's it.
There were, it had to be, of the fans that showed up, at least 65% San Francisco fans, and that's probably being generous.
I would say more like 75. I didn't see many Panther fans in the stands. And
Joe Person tweeted out a picture, and he said, all the blue that you see out there are empty seats. That's it.
That's what David Tepper banked on Matt Rule turning around on his third year.
Mm-hmm.
And David Tepper is now financially getting the hit of his decision to keep Matt Rule. And that's the only way I think David Tepper will listen to the fans. Because he considers us all basement dwellers and not, yelling into the void of the internet.
And if you boo, Robbie Anderson says you're not a real fan. So be careful. Don't boo.
I was here before Robbie Anderson. I'll be here after Robbie Anderson. That's all I got to tell him.
Robbie Anderson will probably not be here past this season, if I had to guess. All right. Any other kind of thoughts there about stats before we get into our heroes, zeros, predictions, all that stuff?
Nope. Christian had a good game for me in fantasy. That's it.
Well, we're all real happy about that, Jerry. Thank goodness.
I am.
All right. Let's see. Our beer bet in this game was more rushing attempts or tight end receiving yards. Now, if you count Ricci as a tight end, which I do, as a fullback.
I do.
Listed as a fullback. Let me look and see what ESPN has him listed as.
Well, it's going to be of course, that's in the beginning of the
If
year.
you,
I always claimed Gian Ricci was a tight end. They just
I
label.
don't think I agreed with that, but that's fine. He is listed as a fullback, so I think we have. I don't know if we can count this one because if you look strictly at tight ends, they only had 8 yards,
I'll
and we
give you
had
this one,
17
but
rushing attempts.
I will. I'll give you this one, but I still have that 750 year-end bet, and that includes Giovanni Ricci because I said that when we made that bet.
Okay, okay,
But I'll give you
but
this one.
I'm gonna take the W on this
Okay.
one. Okay. Um, let's see. I
And
don't
I was
know.
glad that they didn't
Oh,
force feed Ian Thomas and Trimble this week. I was glad that
yeah,
they realized that they are not
only 3
making it.
targets between those guys, which I think is 3 targets too many, but that's okay. Let's see. I don't remember what my prediction was.
21-14 Panthers.
No, I'm talking about my bold prediction. I don't remember what that was. Yeah, I know I picked the Panthers to win the game. That was sort of just me hoping. I didn't actually expect the Panthers to win. I'm pretty sure everyone understood that. What do you remember what your bold prediction was?
Yeah, it was 6 sacks for the Panthers.
Oh, you almost got the Panthers gave up 6 sacks.
Yeah. I meant that we would get it. Considering they had like their third string tackle out
Yeah.
there with Brian Burns. He had a good game, but
We'll go back and we'll listen to the tape and see if we can fit that one into a win for you.
no, it's not a win. Makes me
All right.
sad.
Heroes and zeros. I think we actually have some decent options for heroes in this game. Do you want to end on heroes and start
Yeah,
with
let's
zeros?
do that. That's a good
Okay.
idea.
All right. Who's your zero?
My zero is the name we mentioned multiple times, CJ Henderson.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give it to a backup safety playing out there,
Mm-hmm.
but I will give it to CJ Henderson. He was supposed to be a premier corner for us, and he is giving up more issues than anything else.
Hello, Evelyn.
She's
Mr.
learned how to
Evelyn's.
open. My daughter has joined the podcast. She
Yes.
learned how to open doors, and she's about to go to bed, so she wanted to say hi before.
Okay. Good night, Evelyn.
Say good night. All right.
All right. So my zero for this game. Oh gosh. Yeah, I think I'll give it to Robbie Anderson. I think there's a lot of options here, but I'm gonna give it to Robbie because 1 catch on 5 targets, and again, he just wasn't getting open. I'm just not seeing a great amount of effort from him. Oftentimes, he's just running straight down the field. He's not trying to make anybody miss. He's not trying to do anything. So, I will, however, 100% co-sign on C.J. Henderson.
Yeah.
That would have been my pick had you not chosen him.
I like the Robbie Anderson too. I mean, I feel like those guys. I feel like also part of the problem is they're not playing up to their potential. I feel like they're not, moving the needle in the positive way. Again, like I said, Hartsfield was targeted, Burris was targeted, but again, that's where I see those guys are. I think they're great, backup roles, special teamers, but
Look, Burris was on the practice squad up until last week.
Yeah.
Like he's not, we know what he is. So I'm not. So yeah, I agree with you. I'm not going to give him crap for that. All right, who's your hero?
I'm gonna go with a guy that I was not expecting because I didn't like us. I'm gonna go Davian Wilson. I think he played really well in that picking up this week.
Yeah.
Corey Littleton and everybody, but he had a sack, path deflection, tackle for loss. He had a couple tackles for loss, 3. So he was getting back there. I felt like he was flying around everywhere.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm going to go with Raheem Blackshear just because I really enjoyed watching him return kicks. I loved watching him lay out Robbie Gould twice. Thought that was a lot of fun. He put us in really good position. After his first, he had a really bad first kickoff where he fell down.
Yeah.
At like the 10-yard line. But after that, everyone was good and got past the 25. So kudos to him. A couple of them right at midfield. I mean, with a better offense, you're scoring on both of those drives. You're scoring.
I was gonna say they did score on one, but for the most part, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, again, these little things change the courses of games. So
Yeah,
having a good kickoff return that can get you plus yardage on the kickoff return, that changes games. That's really good to have.
and it'll be very interesting to see if he can continue to look good returning, and
Mm-hmm.
then maybe when Andre Roberts is healthy,
Yeah.
do we let Andre maybe trade away Andre Roberts for like a 7th, 6th?
Yeah.
I
Who
mean,
knows? Who knows?
a premier return man, and then we could keep Blackshear, maybe even get rid of Chuba, and then we can have free up for somebody else to bring in that, Davion
Yeah.
Nixon somewhere else a position of need.
Yeah. I mean, Roberts returns kick punts too, so he's really good. But I mean, if we're like 1-9 by the time Roberts comes back, you don't need a premier return man on a 1-9 team. You just don't.
No, and there's some teams that will want a
Sure.
returner who, especially trying to make a playoff push, getting that field
Yeah.
position. A 7th round, 6th round pick is not out of the realm of possibility.
Sure. I think there's a bunch of guys on our team that we could get, you know, picks for that
Yeah,
aren't really contributing and at again 2-8, 1-9 are luxuries that this team can't really afford. So
correct.
um hats off to the special teams this whole year. They've been
Yeah,
really good. Really
and
good.
Chris Tabor. Chris
Mm-hmm.
Tabor, hats off. Round of applause. I hope we keep you next year
Yep.
because you have done a great job with that special team.
Yes, I absolutely hope that whoever takes over as head coach, because at this point it's not going to be Matt Rule. When will he get fired? It's going to be either within the next couple of weeks or he'll probably make it through the season. But whatever head coach comes in, I hope they can talk Tabor into staying. I hope they can talk, who's the offensive line coach?
James Campen.
Campen. I hope they can talk him into staying. I think he's been really good. Pretty much everyone else can go.
Yeah, I concur. I
Other
would.
than Wilkes. I'd like to see
I,
Wilkes stay.
I was gonna say I wouldn't mind
Yeah.
seeing Wilkes stay. Phil Snow seems to be following wherever Matt Rule goes, and I
Phil Snow
also
will not
think,
stay if Matt Rule leaves. Yeah.
and I also think that this defense is very well organized and has a lot
Mhm.
of key playmakers. But I don't know if they're second. I don't know if Phil Snow is really helping them in that second half by scheming up and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I agree. There are often times when I think, why did we do that on defense? So, all right. Any other final thoughts here before we take a very quick look at the other NFC South games?
no, this game kind of ended the way I thought it was. I was hoping that we would get a little bit closer, but it is what it is. I mean, the 49ers are a great team. Hats off to them. They've got good coaching. They've got some key playmakers, and Jimmy Garoppolo steadies the ship.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, they're a playoff team. So, all right. The Saints won a wild game, another wild game with the Seahawks. Saints win 39-32. Taysom Hill had 112 rushing yards in this game and 3 touchdowns.
and one that sealed the deal for them. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, that was Taysom Hill. We did not have to play against Taysom Hill when we played the Saints. So he is
uh,
obviously a big deal. And then Kamara, almost 200 total yards from scrimmage. So he seems to be back. But man, every game the Seahawks are in is like an interesting, fun game, high scoring game. Take the over every time the Seahawks are playing.
man, can I
That's like the
just
only
say,
team in the league you can say that about.
Pete Carroll, man, hats off, man.
Yeah.
You made that team fun to watch.
Interesting, at least.
You
Yeah.
you made them fun to watch in every game. Geno Smith looks like a legit NFL starting
He
caliber
looks
quarterback.
so much better than Russell Wilson.
It does.
Like
It's
this year, he
crazy.
looks so much better than Russell Wilson. He is so much better than Russell Wilson. Not even
Yeah,
looks. He
I was
is.
gonna say
Yeah.
this year he's a top 15 quarterback.
Yeah. Taysom Hill also 1 for 1, 22 yards and a touchdown passing. So he had a perfect QBR and a perfect passer
So
rate.
better than Russell Wilson.
Better than Russell Wilson. The other game, Tampa and Atlanta played against each other. Tampa won 21-15. Jerry, you I think watched this game. I didn't watch any of it, and you had
I
mentioned that there was a controversial
Oh
call.
my gosh. So it was 3rd down. They did it and the Falcons are roaring back because they did nothing all game. Buccaneers, third and I think it was 10 or so, and they don't make it. It's a complete pass. And there's a roughing the passer because no, it was a sack, and it was a roughing the passer on the sack. The guy, Grady Jackson, wrapped the guy up, Tom Brady up midsection, rolled over to him, like, just kind of that swing tackle, nothing vicious, and they flagged it. And I was just like, you really just flagged that. That's going to give Tampa Bay the win. It was such a BS call, man. I am not
Yeah.
a Falcons fan, obviously. And I was just like, you really just completely gave the Falcons no chance at winning this game because of a BS call. I mean, I don't know if Grady Jackson needs to bust out a pillow to set it down before he takes Tom Brady down in the
Yeah.
future. I mean, maybe hand him his AARP card. I don't know. But there was some BS that you can't make a sack on him.
And before we get all the comments and emails, Jerry knows it's Grady Jarrett. He just misspoke. Okay.
Yeah,
Jerry knows he
sorry.
just misspoke.
I don't have the stats in front of me. I just
Yeah.
was watching the game and I was livid when I saw that. I was like, how do you This
I
is
would have
one of
been I
those
would have been laughing hysterically because anything bad that happens to the Falcons is A-okay in my book. Even if it benefits the Bucs and Tom Brady, I am perfectly happy watching the Falcons lose in excruciating fashion anytime I get the opportunity.
I want good refereeing. I can't help that. I mean, the Panthers were screwed on it earlier this year. It's so
Yeah.
frustrating when the guys in stripes decide the game because of bad calls.
I hear you. I hear you. Still, I'm excited about that. All right. Well, I think that one is going to do it, Jerry.
Yep, we want to thank everyone for listening. If you like the show, please let your friends know. Please follow us on Twitter at MeowMix Podcast. If you have any questions or comments, you can email us at mailbag@meowmixpodcast.com. If you leave us a 5-star review with a comment on Apple Podcasts, we'll read it on our show. Please like and subscribe on YouTube. I also am looking at getting a black kitty, and right now I'm looking to name it Smitty the Kitty. But if you have any other Panther-related names, please come in with a suggestion.
Nothing dealing with Ian Thomas or Matt Rule.
Yeah, I want like Pro Bowl players, reoccurring players, not 1-year wonders. It can't be Peppa.
We'll be back on Wednesday or Thursday, whatever day this posts, to talk about our next game against the Los Angeles Rams, the defending Super Bowl champions. The third 4:05 start in a row. I hate it. I either want to play at 1 or I want to play in prime time. You know what I'm talking about, Emma. She understands.
Yeah, another 4 o'clock. It was fun because I was able to do stuff today because I didn't even worry about today's game because I had a earmark. But all right.
Hey, until then, everybody stay safe out there and keep pounding.